This is America's M270 rocket launcher. Rockets have been a staple of land warfare for centuries, but it wasn't until the latter half of the 20th century that they became a permanent addition to the U.S. Army's arsenal. Ironically, the Army's program to develop multiple battlefield rocket artillery to fight the Soviet Army drew inspiration for its rockets from Moscow's wartime Katyushka multi-tube rocket launchers. Battlefield rocket use dates back to the 13th century China. Although China is lauded for inventing gunpowder and derided for promptly using it for fireworks, the reality is more complicated. China did use them for war, and even invented multiple tube rocket launchers capable of launching up to 100 projectiles. Rocket artillery fell out of favor for hundreds of years, but by the mid-1930s, the Soviet Army had started to field the first modern rocket artillery units. Unlike traditional gun artillery, which used a powder charge to propel a shell through a gun tube, an artillery rocket uses a continuously burning rocket motor to travel to target. The upside is that instead of a single gun tube, several tubes can be clustered together and ripple-fired mere seconds apart. As a result, rocket artillery has a faster rate of fire than tube artillery, although reloading takes longer. The Soviet Union relied on rocket artillery extensively during World War II, massing large numbers of truck-mounted multiple rocket launchers such as the BM-13 and BM-8 to provide massed fires. Rocket artillery was extremely easy to manufacture, a critical issue when Soviet manufacturing was struggling to keep up with the war. A BM-13-16 was simply a collection of bracketed steel tubes mounted on a truck, often a Lend-Lease Studebaker, and the resulting vehicle could hurl 16 11-pound high-explosive warheads at a distance of 7.3 miles. What Soviet rocket units lacked in accuracy, they made up with in the ability to saturate a target area, and the scream of a BM-13 launcher releasing a salvo of rockets was unearthly. During the early 1970s, the U.S. Army refocused from Vietnam to a land war in Europe. As a result, it looked to revamp its artillery capabilities with an emphasis on striking deep behind enemy lines. The result was the M270 Multiple Launch Rocket System, or MLRS. The M270 packs 12 227mm rockets into the A-box launcher and can fire all 12 rounds in less than 40 seconds. The M270 is based on the chassis of the M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicle. Tracked and highly mobile, it's designed to move into position, fire, and be ready to move into a new firing position in 5 minutes or less. This shoot-and-scoot tactic minimizes exposure to enemy counter-battery fire, a tactic that uses radar and other techniques to track back enemy rockets and shells in midair, determining the location of the enemy artillery units and destroying them before they can displace to a new firing position. Unlike other artillery units, the M270 isn't designed for direct support of ground troops. Rather, MLRS units concentrate on medium to long-range threats. Instead of attacking an enemy mechanized regiment on the move, MLRS units engage targets far behind enemy lines such as unit assembly areas, fuel and ammunition depots, and headquarters units. MLRS rocket fire is also ideal for friendly counter-battery fire missions. Instead of trying to make the M270 more accurate, developer Vogt decided to embrace the rocket's lack of accuracy and maximize its ability to saturate an entire area. Each of the original M26 rockets carried 644 dual-purpose improved conventional munitions, DPICM. The size of a hand grenade, DPICM rounds were ejected from the rocket while in flight, raining hundreds of the bomblets down on the enemy. The rounds were devastatingly effective against not only exposed infantry and soft-skin targets such as fuel depots, ammunition depots, and headquarters units, but were also capable of inflicting damage on tanks and armored vehicles, destroying them or putting them out of action. The first use of the M270 was in the 1991 Persian Gulf War, when the rocket launchers earned the name Grid Killers for the ability of a single M270 to saturate a 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer box grid on a military map. A MLRS battalion has a total of 27 M270s, giving U.S. Army divisions and artillery brigades incredible amounts of firepower. An alternate munition used by the M270 is ATACMS, or the Army Tactical Missile System. A large plump rocket, ATACMS take the place of 6 rockets in an M270, meaning each vehicle can carry up to 2. ATACMS were designed to attack targets even farther behind enemy lines, carrying up to 950 anti-tank and anti-personnel submunitions up to 80 miles. Later versions had a range up to 186 miles. The tendency for unexpected cluster munitions to linger on the battlefield and cause harm to civilians resulted in the 2008 Convention on Cluster Munitions. The convention bans their use, and although the United States is not a signatory, the Pentagon generally holds to the ban. As a result, MLRS and ATACMS rockets that carry DPICM have been retired or are being updated to a single unitary high-explosive warhead. The M270 was so effective that a lighter, more mobile version, the High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, HIMARS, was created. HIMARS packs 6 rockets or a single ATACMS on a 5-ton truck. HIMARS has seen action in Afghanistan against the Taliban and ISIS fighters. The system's usefulness against high-end threats has also seen it deployed to the Philippines opposite China and Eastern Europe opposite Russia. The shift back to big power warfare once again puts the focus on rocket artillery. As the U.S. Army reorients back towards fighting conventional armies again, massed fires will be back in vogue. ATACMS rockets are even getting the ability to engage moving ships at sea. New, improved rockets with GPS guidance can now destroy point targets. While rocket artillery likely won't replace gun artillery anytime soon, the versatility and now accuracy that rockets offer will make them critical capabilities for decades to come.